Hi, boys and girls. JP here with the 80s book of the day. This is Mrs. Brice's Mice from 1988, thanks to Sid Hoff. Let me just say that this book in particular snapped my mind when I purchased this from a flea market, because it turns out this came from the actual school that I went to in the Bronx. That is insane. 32 years ago, I was in this school when this book was here. All right, and let's move on. Mrs. Brice's Mice. Mrs. Brice had 25 mice. She fed her mice the finest cheese. She washed and dried them behind their ears so they were always clean. Mrs. Brice loved to sing for them. When she played the piano, 24 little mice danced around her. One very small mouse danced on top of her head. He was afraid to fall between the keys. When Mrs. Brice went to bed, 12 little mice slept on one side of her. 12 little mice slept on the other side. One very small mouse slept on the clock in case he wanted to know what time it was. In the morning, Mrs. Brice did exercises. She stretched her arms and legs. She bent over and touched her toes with her fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you get the idea. 24 little mice did exercises too. They stretched, they bent, they touched their toes. One very small mouse kept on sleeping. Looks like my ex-husband. It is time for our walk, said Mrs. Brice. 12 little mice walked in front of her. 12 little mice walked in back. One very small mouse sat on top of Mrs. Brice's hat so he could see where they were going. He saw a cat. 12 little mice ran this way. 12 little mice ran that way. One very small mouse jumped down to the ground and ran this way and that. He ran so many different ways, the cat got tired of chasing him and went back to whatever he had been doing. What a clever little mouse you are, said Mrs. Brice. Now we can go to buy some food. 24 little mice sat in a cart and enjoyed the ride. One very small mouse sat in front. Looks like Walmart. They went up one aisle. They went down another. Mrs. Brice bought food in cans, food in jars, cold food, hot food. Now we can go home, said Mrs. Brice. 24 little mice were glad, but one very small little mouse kept on leading the way. He led them to the dairy counter. Mrs. Brice bought a nice big cheese. Then she and her mice went home to eat it. Can you tell she's single, ladies and gentlemen? After they ate, Mrs. Brice sang. They played the piano. 24 mice danced around her. One very small mouse kept right on eating. PS 108. Did you enjoy today's book of Mrs. Brice's Mice? Sound off in the comments below.